rebuttals, the most problematic case from the affirmative is that they never explain why ICC's investigation body does not have the capability to go to the sources, just like what the journalist can do, ladies and gentlemen. Because we see that there is two different inherent differences when you're an investigator and when you're a journalist, ladies and gentlemen. When you're a journalist, when you're only coded and when you're only armed with conditions like, handicaps and recorders, but you can actually go and investigate and get these informations, we say, why can the ICC, who first of all has warrant, ladies and gentlemen, who first of all has the authority, cannot go and do this scientific actions, ladies and gentlemen. We see that this has never been portrayed by the affirmative as why inherently they don't have this capability in the very first place, ladies and gentlemen. So we question the basic premise why we should leave this responsibility to the journalist. But then again, let's just go to the case of the affirmative. They were talking about, ladies and gentlemen, where standards of proof where documents are not reliable, thus we should seek for this idea. First of all, we basically question again, they've never explained what is the condition of a standard reliable information, ladies and gentlemen. As my third speaker, POI, in his asking the POI, when someone can actually lie, does the ICC know also about the reliability of this information? Not yet, Sandro. We say that the conditions where you can justify something is reliable or not, we say that it's not clear in the very first place, and suddenly you're taking an information that might be published in the article of Times maybe to be used as a proof in war crisis, in war criminals. We say that this is not valid enough, ladies and gentlemen. We say that if you do have the capability to go and out search for these informations, we say go for it, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, as a person who also faced conflict in Timor-Leste, I do feel the shame of this. But we say, ladies and gentlemen, when the government does not do that, it's not the failure of the journalists not being able to capture the information, ladies and gentlemen. It's the failure of the prosecutors not being able to get enough information, ladies and gentlemen. We say, if that's the fault, fix the condition of the prosecutors before that.
The problem here is that when ICC investigates, the crime's name is already tarnished because it has been several months since the atrocities are going on.
Well, exactly. If they are tarnished, why don't the ICC investigators go and also approach the citizens like what the journalists can do, ladies and gentlemen? If they also have the both access, why only burden your job towards the journalists who, first of all, doesn't work for you, right? They're not getting paid by ICC. They're getting paid by their comrades, ladies and gentlemen. We say that if this is the condition right now that they should be answering, we say that, yes, go for it. Also, they were talking about, where this is a legal obligation for someone to testify, ladies and gentlemen, because we're talking about human rights violation. We're talking about, it's a very major crime, and thus we should also have the obligation to testify for it. We say that, no, this is not always the case, ladies and gentlemen. When a case where you actually see a hit and run, ladies and gentlemen, when someone can actually die from it, where we see the right of you to live of a person being violated there. But in certain cases, you can actually back down from trials, ladies and gentlemen, and not testify. We say that in the very first place, that in the notion of whether you can testify or not, it's not a legal obligation, ladies and gentlemen. It's a right for you to say yes or no if you want to go to court, ladies and gentlemen. So in the very first place, whether we say it is an obligation or not, we say no, because the current premise says that you can back down, ladies and gentlemen, that you don't always have to right. No, thank you, Santiago. We say that the condition that does not enforce you, that there is no legal bounds that can make you testify or not, whether you want to leave someone to do bad conditions, to do bad crimes in the future, we say yes, that is a moral burden for you. But we said that is never your legal obligation, ladies and gentlemen, because inherently the government cannot force you to do these kind of actions. Now, continuing with the case of the affirmative, I'm going to talk about in cases where countries that has not been trialed yet, but this is actually going to open chances for them to actually be more hostile towards the information gathering itself, ladies and gentlemen. We say that in cases where you actually see North Korea now, or Myanmar, where they're not actually being trialed, ladies and gentlemen, it's very hostile for them to actually open chances for you to gain information, right? Let alone, asking the victims and so on. Now, we see that when you can actually utilize this kind of condition, and when you're actually applying this, we say that this actually creates a premise, creates a mindset in these, tyrants who has not been taken down to actually do a condition where they should tighten up their borders, ladies and gentlemen. Because, hey, they don't want that information to be going out, right? And how do they do this, ladies and gentlemen? They're going to cut out for the way for these journalists to actually go and come in, ladies and gentlemen. We say that this is wrong on several layers. We say that, first of all, when journalists cannot go in there, we say that this is violating the idea of the circulation of information. Because, hey, as part of society that demands information, we see that it's always an obligation for the journalist to go in. When we say that the journalist cannot go there, ladies and gentlemen, that obligation, that moral right that a certain identity should actually obtain information won't be achieved, ladies and gentlemen. And we say that this is wrong because it violates those rights of the citizens to to get the information. No, thank you, Satya. But also to give that why is it so wrong not being getting this information? Now let's look systematically. When you are trying to weakening a government, ladies and gentlemen, what do you actually do? It's not actually, not just to coordinate while, riots and protests, but in order for you to actually, coordinate those things, you need clear information, right? And these informations can only be obtained by journalists, ladies and gentlemen. When we see the cases of Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia, in cases where in the Middle East, where the protests, in Libya, in Egypt, where those sparks of fire does actually come from the media, when the media tries to expose this kind of condition where you want to weaken the government, ladies and gentlemen. And what's happening right now, you're limiting that chances, ladies and gentlemen, for you actually to systematically weaken the government, ladies and gentlemen. Although we see here that there is no direct link whether you can actually try to limit the access and the move of this current government, ladies and gentlemen, but the information that you give to the society, ladies and gentlemen, both society in the current government can actually know whether what the government has done wrong, but also to the people outside of the country, like in USA or in England, that can try to bring, their sympathy towards these people, ladies and gentlemen, whether they can start to go to the United Nations and force their people there, force their government to actually do, hey, we need to do something here because there is something wrong. But when you don't actually have that information to push your government to do these kind of conditions, to fix that violation of human rights, ladies and gentlemen, we say that it's wrong because you're not doing your job. And what the affirmative side does is try to block down their conditions with their premise, ladies and gentlemen. And we say that this is wrong because in order for you to take down the tyrants, you also need the information, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to side with a team that can try to protect the human rights of violation, ladies and gentlemen, that does not burden a certain job only to journalists, ladies and gentlemen, we say side with team opposition because team opposition can provide first information. We're not, slaving anyone, ladies and gentlemen, because certain parts are not capable of doing their job. We say go with team opposition. Thank you.